section of Tech and Politics, I'd like to welcome Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Senator, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
You've taken an interest in tech legislation, and I'm curious for your broad view. What do you think big tech is getting right, and what's it getting wrong?
What they're getting right is that they provide a service, an information service that people enjoy. And they have changed the way we conduct a lot of our transactional life. Many people will say that is for the better. However, when you look at their lack of privacy enforcement, and now, Emily, people are beginning to figure out, oh, they're data mining me. Oh, they're tracking. Oh, they're following. Oh, you know, they are sending my information out, and they're big ad companies. And I don't like that. I want them to only access information that I give them explicit permission to see. I don't want them following me. And how is it that they can monetize my information, anonymize it, except back to their IP address, which is their virtual you, and then sell that information to the retailer? So people have a lot of questions about this business model, and it's why they're saying it is time for Congress to do something about privacy and data security in the virtual space. So
what should Congress do when it comes to privacy?
You know, the Browser Act is my legislation, and that's kind of the benchmark, if you will, that people talk from and say, let's add to or let's take from the Browser Act. This would require an individual to give explicit permission, opt-in for sensitive data sharing, opt-out for non-sensitive information. It would be one set of privacy rules for the entire internet ecosystem and one regulator, the FTC, which is our nation's privacy regulator, both in the virtual and the physical space.
Do you think Europe and GDPR is a good model here?
I think that is, it reaches a little bit too far. It's a little bit too restrictive. And my preference is to see the internet remain a place where innovators can pop on and innovate. We have to bear in mind that the internet from 1995, no one ever thought about apps. They never thought about mobility in the sense that we have mobility now. They never thought about the convergence of voice, video, and data. And now you see that, and it's all on a handheld device. You take it with you everywhere you go. And we need to make certain that individuals that are going to use that spectrum as their backbone, that they have the ability to innovate. And we should not have laws that are restrictive, that are going to limit new entrants into the marketplace.
Now, there have been growing concerns from conservatives about social media suppressing conservative views. President Trump just met with Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey. Do you think social media is suppressing conservative views deliberately or undeliberately?
We've had some hearings on this, and of course they will say, no, we do not. But here's where I think you get into what many people think of as suppression or censorship, is the way they build the algorithms that are doing the data mining. And the question should be to Facebook and Twitter and these entities, do you subjectively manipulate your algorithm? And what we have to realize is in Silicon Valley, a lot of people have a more liberal bent. That is their preference. They bring that to work. They are engineering and building these algorithms, and then they probably tilt left instead of being down the middle, and we know they don't tilt right.
You actually had a pro-life ad in 2017 that was taken down by Twitter. They said it was inflammatory. They apologized. They reinstated it. What have your conversations been like with the executives of these companies? We know they're active. They're lobbying here on Capitol Hill. They want your support.
And when we did a hearing a couple of weeks ago, Twitter publicly apologized to me. But the question is, how do we get to a point that pro-life language is considered to be inflammatory? That's the underlying question. And why did they make a decision to block that, and then it took them a while through conversation to put it back up? And for all of our edge providers, this is the question that needs to be there. People want to know that if this is the new public square, then they are going to be able to express their opinions, and that the public square is going to be appropriately monitored or regulated to keep out violence, to keep out terrorism, to keep out those things that do not serve the public conversation well.
Let's talk about that. There was just another shooting at a synagogue in California, and some would argue that these platforms have done a lot to combat terrorism, to combat ISIS, but haven't done enough to combat white supremacy. What do you think?
You know, Emily, there is no place for hate speech, hatefulness, this kind of action on any of these platforms. And they're going to have to be diligent in making certain that they deal with those things. Likewise, many of us have spent a lot of time working on human trafficking and sex trafficking, working to shut down entities like Backpage, working to make certain that we tamp down any of the other entities that grow up. One investigator told me, you know, we stop Backpage, but then you have the mom and pops that come up. And this does not have a place. We want to make certain that everyone and their information is safe online, and we definitely want to make certain that our children are safe online.
Now, Senator Elizabeth Warren has been calling for a breakup of big tech companies, and she's gotten supports on both sides of the aisle. Do you think big tech companies, Facebook, Google, Amazon, Apple, do you think they need to be broken up?
What we need to do is make certain that they are responsible to the Americans that are using their platform, and also that they are not acting in a way that is not going to serve our their consumers well. We don't want to make certain, we don't want an individual's private information to be made public. We want to make certain that data security provisions and breach notification provisions are in place. We want to make certain that individuals have the toolbox they need to protect their virtual you.
So then would you say breaking up big tech or antitrust regulation is a step too far?
I think that it is something that we're going to look at.
Okay.
I think that it is important for us first to say, here are the privacy rules of the road, because right now we don't have those. And here is the regulator you're going to be responsible to. And as someone who is a light touch regulator, I think that we need to do that first and foremost. Then we can move on and do some other things. We definitely have to look at the censorship issue. We have to work with these companies on that issue. And if they're going to consider themselves a news source, maybe they should hire a news director.
You've called net neutrality socialistic. What do you mean by that?
When you would put the government at the head of the pipe, if you will, that broadband pipe, and putting them in the first spot. And that we don't want to do. We don't want, the internet's not broken. It doesn't need the federal government to fix it, if you will. So what we would like to do is make certain that we preserve an open internet. We're all against no block, or against blocking. We're all against throttling. What we want to make certain is that before we make a decision on prioritization, that we are talking with innovators. When you talk with people that are working in AI or working on AVs or working in healthcare technology, they will say, let's move very slowly when we talk about prioritization, because we don't know what the next innovation is going to be and how we're going to utilize those technologies as 5G comes into the marketplace.
Now, you've been a staunch supporter of President Trump. We know that Senator Biden has just declared he is running, and he's kicked off his campaign by talking about Charlottesville, and you know there continues to be the contention that President Trump did not handle that situation well. Do you have any concern about Biden or any other Democratic opponent?
They're going to have their primary, and they are going to go through that primary. They will choose a nominee, and then we will have that race once they have chosen their nominee.
Now, you're the first woman senator from Tennessee. You supported the Kavanaugh nomination. I know that mobilized a number of your voters. How much progress do you think the Me Too movement has made, and how much progress do you think still needs to be made?
You know, my hope is that the Me Too movement has helped this to be a conversation that moms and daughters and employers and employees have. And I think it's a good thing that our children and grandchildren are not going to be fearful to bring it up when they have had someone act inappropriately to them. Yeah. I think that's a good, healthy thing.
Dads and sons need to have that conversation too.
Dads and sons absolutely should have that conversation.
So, last question just about the Mueller report. Attorney General Barr is going to testify on Capitol Hill this week. What do you want to hear from him?
I think that what you're going to hear from him is, or what I would like to know is how we got to that point. That you had this dossier that was paid for by campaign funds, and it was used to get a FISA warrant. And how did we get into this in the first place? Our concern should be over a culture at the FBI, a premier agency, that allowed individuals to think such actions were okay. It is not okay.
It is not. Do you want Mueller to testify before Congress as well?
Most people say he did his job. And when you're in Tennessee, and I'm talking to Tennesseans, they will say, you know, no conspiracy, no collusion. The one question they have is how we got to this point, how Clinton participated or her campaign participated in this. But Emily, I will tell you, in Tennessee, they're talking about jobs, the economy, secure the border. When are we going to get broadband into our community? Those are the questions that they have.
All right, Senator Marsha Blackburn, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
It's good to see you here in the studio.
It's good to be here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.